Hello everybody, Megazord here, back at it again to give you another very exciting video. And for today, you know what? Recently, we just got the first episode of Moon Knight. And you know what? Me being the big Marvel fan that I am, I had to go through and talk about this new series though. Now, I'm going to be switching things up just a little bit from my traditional norm and how I did some of my past previous MCU Disney Plus series shows. I'm just going to give my overall impressions and discussion over the first episode. And then once the whole series is done with and concluded, then I'll come back and make another video just discussing the whole entire show in its entirety. So I won't do the traditional weekly stuff, just kind of do a starting and an ending recap of basically everything. That's how I'm going to kind of approach the Disney Plus shows moving this point forward though. But Moon Knight, I will say that was a very good and very unique, interesting start for a new Disney Plus show. And gosh, like, I was kind of scratching my head. I was like, what the heck is this dude all about? And I was like, I did a little bit of research on the front end though, but even then I was kind of caught in surprise with the way how they kind of incorporate and use all of this stuff though. I know we're gonna have like some flashbacks because not everything was technically adding up, but just a raw impressions. I thought this was a really good start and a really good kick though. But oh goodness, there's a lot to go through and a lot to go through and talk about and discuss. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. All right, so we start off this new series with a crazy dude that was holding a weird little scepter thing or whatever though. And this dude was, I knew he was off the deep end and stuff. Like when you bust open, like when you bust a thing of glass poured up in your shoes and you walking on the shoes or something like that though, I could just tell something's just off about you or whatever though. But that was the first little opening stuff before we went to the traditional, you know, Marvel cinematic opening and whatnot though. So our main protagonist in this series, his name, as we know him right now, is Steven. And I was like, you know, because at first I was thinking, okay, you know, that seemed like a regular name or whatever though, but that might not be entirely his full name, which I'll explain about a little later on throughout this episode review though. But anyway, we see him wake up, and we already knew something was just weird about this dude because he poured sand all the way around his bed, and then on top of that, had his leg shackled to a pole. And I was like, all right, are you just like catching the mad kind of vibe of just sleepwalking? Like, did you just sleepwalk outside your home, just walk down the streets or whatever though, and just caught yourself just laid up in the alley next to a trash can or something like that, sleeping with a cat? I mean, I don't know though, but when I saw that, I was like, okay, I guess this dude kind of already knows some weird stuff about his powers, but probably doesn't know the full context of it. At least that's what I was thinking originally though. But we find out that Steven is basically works at a gift shop, and I think he's basically, you know, over there in the Europe side of things, I believe the UK. So that's where this is kind of all taking place though. And you know, it just seems like he was just kind of living an average life. You could tell that he wasn't like the most confident, at least in terms of his character and his demeanor and stuff like that. He somehow managed to pick up a date with this one girl like that. I was like, how the, like, how that man carries himself. I'm like, I just don't understand how in the world that man actually managed to secure a date with that woman though. I was like, I just don't know, whatever though. But anyway, long story short, he gets to go back home, as what most people do, and goes to sleep. But you know, he pours a little more sand around the thing, locks up his chain around his leg or whatever though, and he goes back to sleep. And then things get a little bit interesting. All of a sudden, he just wakes up and he's just laying out in the middle of the grass, maybe around the Netherlands or something like that. I don't know exactly where, but it is just kind of like like a bunch of grassy terrain or whatnot though. And there was these dudes that were just gun ho about him, just going at him. And it's just like, you know what, like we need to get something from you. And this dude didn't recognize what he had, but he had this little gold, man, I can't even remember the name off the top of my head though. But you know, this all kind of deals around Egyptian mythology and stuff like that. So Egyptian gods and whatnot though. So he had like a little gold little thing where I guess he was trying to protect it, but he was subconsciously protecting it because all of a sudden he does like a little eye roll thing or something like that. And then all of a sudden, these dudes are like knocked out around him and stuff like that. And he's like, wait, what the heck? But he just knew he had to get out of there because there were some people that was just gun hole trying to get onto him and just trying to get that one little thing that he had on there. A little later on, he's in a little city town. And in the city town, there was this dude, and I think this is the first antagonist. He might be the main antagonist, or this might be one of the antagonists. Not sure exactly how many different antagonists they'll wind up throwing in this series though. But his name is Arthur, and he goes around with the cane scepter. He's the first dude that we saw at the very beginning of the series, within that first like minute or so. And he's walking around with the staff and something like that. He's kind of like judging people, like as if like he's a judge or something like that. And it's kind of like predicting and kind of reading the thoughts of people, everything known in the past and everything what they know in the future or whatever though. So he's kind of like getting rid of certain people that might, even though they might have done good things leading up to this point right here, he can kind of see in the future a little bit. So if they were going to be doing some bad things or do bad things, he just kill them there on the spot. Like he has like this little scepter thing. He just wave that thing back and forth, just back and forth like that. And then you got to see a little thing on his arm right here, on his arm, where it was like a little tattoo, and it was like a tattoo like a different kind of, or not different kind of, it was like a scale, and it will go back and forth, back and forth. If it was green, they were good. If it was red, then that means they were bad. We saw one dude manage to walk away safely. The other lady, older lady, wasn't too fortunate and looked like she just died right then and there. But of course, Steven managed to make his way all the way to the crowd trying to avoid those other people, and then this dude said something weird, and all the people kind of bowed, or lower down on the ground. And then of course, it's all good things. The main character just stands out. So he's like, "You there? Come here real quick." And then he was over there, and then he was like, "You got something that we really need." And he was like, "Oh, okay, here." And he was trying to all the time try to give him that little gold thing constantly, but his body started moving on his own, and you always heard like a voice in his head saying, "Hey, you better not drop that," or "Hey, if you do that again, so help me." Like there was always that voice that was playing in his head, and he's like, he couldn't control his body worth for nothing though. And then all of a sudden they were trying to pry that thing from his hand, and he did the little eye thing again, and then boom, it was like, yeah, blood all over his hand and stuff like that. Like we could tell like something went down, but he was, he didn't have any awareness of what actually took place within those few seconds or that minute or something of that fighting. And he was like, "Oh shoot, I gotta get out of here." This dude kind of goes off and steals like an ice cream truck, or not ice cream truck, my bad, a cupcake van, and started to drive off. And then we get into our traditional car chase scene though, but it's not really traditional because like you're in a whole nother country. Like these roads were weaving up and down, left and right, swerving all the way going down the bottom of the hill. So it's not like a gun hole really fast speed chase though, but it was neat nonetheless though. But you got these dudes chasing them. It was like 6 different cars or something like that, chasing from behind them. Multiple people tried to jump up into one did manage to jump into the back of the car, and this dude's just like throwing cakes over there, just chucking them. And I was like, bro, what the heck is that gonna do though? And then the dude was like halfway pointing his gun, about to shoot him up in the head right here, and then he does the little thing again, and then whoosh. And it's like the dude's half dead over there. The other dude died or whatever. Car flipped over, stuff like that. And he played this out a few different good times until basically there was nobody else left, or at least there was a couple people left in the front of the van whenever they finally stopped. A bunch of logs just fell down from the side of the mountain though. And then that was it. And then he just woke back up, and he was like, "Oh, okay." So that was the part where you're starting to think, is this a dream or was that reality? It made it seem like it was a dream, but if you know anything about Marvel superheroes and stuff like that, you could tell that was real. Is this, how in the world was that real? Was he like was he like teleported, transported over there, or did he wake up in the middle of the night and actually traveled all the way over there? It's either one or the other. Not too entirely sure how he managed to get all the way over there though. Now, this is when Steven started noticing some things didn't quite add up, because he looked at the fish, a fish that he bought like a day ago, or what he thought was it like 1 day ago, and originally that fish had 1 fin. Now it has like 2 fins or something like that. And then when he noticed the differences with the fins, he was like, "Oh wait, I was just here just a second ago." He went back to the shop, and then he notices that a little bit of a time skip has happened, because it was Thursday when he went to sleep, and he was thinking today's date was Friday. However, it was Sunday, so meaning that he's basically been out cold for like the past 2 days. So during the time that he basically that dream has took place, somehow 2 days have passed or has transpired. And right there I was like, okay, now that would add up where that previous thing that we thought was a dream was actually the real deal thing, because now that actually adds up to how that could actually play out. And he was supposed to have that date with that one girl on Friday, and then it was Sunday. It was just weird for him to kind of come to terms. It like that little bit of comedy they did right there, because this dude was a vegan and they agreed to actually have a steak dinner with this woman. Like, he didn't even know like what part of the cow that he wanted in terms of his steak, and he didn't even want to know like whether it was like well done, medium rare, or all that kind of stuff. It was just kind of funny seeing him order that though. But then after that, he went back home. And then this is where things got a little more interesting, because he managed to actually find a cell phone of some woman that was calling him constantly. And then she was like, hey, I didn't know you were out for months, like 3 months. I was been trying to contact you. Like, what the heck has happened to you? And he was like, oh, I don't know exactly what happened. But the interesting thing about that is she called him by a different name. We knew him as Steven. She called him by Mark. Which then makes me think, okay, you know what? How weird this dude has been acting, it makes me think this dude has gotten like a serious chance of amnesia, or somebody's been playing with his mind a little bit, maybe the dude that's basically giving him the powers or whatnot though. So we could kind of tell that he's not quite, in his right best sound judgment at the moment. Somebody has been doing something to his head, something like that. And it was at that moment where things got really weird and a little bit trippy, because the dude was like looking in the mirror at one point, and then he was like, and you heard the voices playing again in his head. He's like, hey, you better stop looking into this. You're going to get in trouble or whatever, though. And he was looking in the mirror at one point, and the dude was just shaking his head like this. I was like, oh my gosh. And then the lights started flickering and stuff, and he's like, I got to get the heck out of here. He runs out of there, runs into the elevator or whatnot, trying to jam on the button or whatever, though. Goes down to another floor, meets this other woman. The woman could tell that this dude wasn't in his right state of mind. And she was trying to get the heck off that elevator, too. And then all of a sudden, you see this big old dude walking down the thing, skull mask, a scepter with like a crescent moon on the side of the thing. Like, he was just walking to him, mummified everything, bandages and everything. I was like, oh shoot, man. And I was like, and this dude was just following hardcore, and he was like, man, I need to get up out of this thing. And then all of a sudden, the dude's like looking straight at him, and then whoosh, we get flash forward into the middle of the day where the dude's just riding on the bus, and then he sees him out on the street, and then the lamppost just like crosses over him, and then he just disappears again. And then all of a sudden, then we see Arthur on the bus as soon as he gets off of it. He's like, that dude from quote unquote my dream followed me all the way here. Like, what the actual heck? He goes up inside of the into the museum where he works at, and he's like, hey, keep an eye on any fishy dudes or whatever though, but it's an open museum. He ain't gonna really be able to stop anybody coming through or whatever though. Eventually, Arthur manages to make his way, finds his way to him though, and he does that same little ricocheting little staff cane thing that he's been doing with most other people that we saw in the quote unquote dream. And he actually didn't go one side or the other. He didn't go red or he didn't go green. He could just tell that there was like chaos in his future, so he just kind of let him be or whatever though, at least for the time being though. But he had a lot of different people or associates that were kind of working for him, even in that museum, or either they infiltrated one or the other. And they were after him again because they still want that little thing from him or whatnot though. And basically, instead of sending all their men out on him, they just decided to send out this weird werewolf looking crazy old hairy looking beast dog thing. I was like what the heck? Or look closer to a werewolf. And that dude was just chasing them all throughout the museum and whatnot though, and he was trying to get away with them, flipping stuff over left and right, jumping and avoiding, and eventually ran himself up inside of the bathroom. And then it was at that point where his alter ego kind of reminded me of Venom in a way, because he kind of doesn't have a lot of different awareness of what he's actually doing. So it's kind of like a Hulk. It's kind of like a Incredible Hulk to a weird degree, which I kind of like it when they kind of do that stuff within the Marvel cinematic universe. But anyway, that dude was talking to him, and you could see him in the mirror. So he's like, hey man, you're going to have to give me full control, because previously, like in that quote unquote dream, he gave him like partial control or whatever though, but you got to give me full control in order for us to allow us to live. And you know, he was like slapping himself over and over. He's like, no, this ain't real, this ain't real. He's like, look at me, this is real, and if you want to live, you're gonna have to give me full control. He does, and then that's when he starts going all out on this dude. Like, he started beating the snot out of this dude. At one point, the werewolf was trying to run outside that bathroom. He was like, no, you haul your butt and get back over here real quick, because he started going on hard over here. This is like pounding him over and over. And then that's where we get to look at our new MCU hero known as Moon Knight in his full-blown attire. Like, he's wearing, it's like a mummified kind of suit, kind of whitish and whatnot, though. Has like white glowing eyes and everything like that. Like you know, his costume and stuff looks pretty sick, but it just kind of comes up out of nowhere. It's not like he changes into something like Spider-Man or anything like that, though. But, and then that's basically where the first episode ends. So honestly, some really cool, interesting stuff like that. I kind of like the way how it was kind of all over the place, and it's sort of kind of a mystery-ish kind of thing, though. But without spoiling things too much, just kind of giving you like this a little more basic knowledge from the comic side of things. That dude that we saw with the skull mask, his name is known as Kongshu, or I hope I pronounced that right, Kongshu or something like that, though. But anyway, he's kind of like an Egyptian god, and you know, the whole kind of theme with this series is dealing with like Egypt gods, and you know, Egypt, you know, basically anything associated with Egypt mythology and all that kind of stuff. That's what the whole Moon Knight thing is, though. But that dude, or that god, should I say, is the one that basically empowers him with all of the abilities and stuff that we know as Moon Knight, as the superhero character and stuff. Now, the weird thing is, how does he already have the powers? Well, that's where things get a little bit interesting, because when that lady was saying that I've been trying to contact you for months, I'm pretty sure that he got these powers months ago, and we're gonna have to go back into like a flashback episode, because it's gonna go through and explain exactly what kind of assignment he was previously on before some weird things happened. I think they were probably at some kind of Egyptian at like some Egyptian ruins or something like that, and he was probably halfway dead or something like that before Kongshu started to play a role in his life, and I think he managed to resurrect him or something like that, and then thus gave him the powers or whatever, though. So he's kind of like using his body as a vessel to kind of do whatever he needs to do within the actual Earth world that we know right now, though. But that's just kind of some basic concepts of some stuff that I kind of know, and some stuff that most likely, based on the stuff that we got within this first episode, they're gonna have to do a little bit of explaining within the future episodes that we get later on in the series, though. I believe this is gonna be another 6-episode series, so this should last us from, it started off at the tail end of March, should last us all through April and partially through May. So we're gonna have a decently good time run getting all these episodes every Wednesday, though. But I believe I talked about, summarized, and gave all my thoughts on the series to the best of my ability for everything I wanted to discuss. So overall, I'm really impressed with this. I'm really looking forward to the episode 2 whenever that drops out on this upcoming Wednesday, though. By the time this video drops, it might already be out, who knows? But this is just all my thoughts on episode 1. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all you think about the first episode. What are you feeling about the series so far? Are you really loving it? Are there some things a little offsetting, or do you need to see a little bit more episodes just to kind of get an overall greater feel on this new series, though? Just let me know in the comment section down below. But that's basically going to do it for this video, though. So if you really like this video, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and that bell to stay up to date on all things Marvel related I feel like talking about and discussing for the foreseeable future. I know I need to go back and actually do some reviews over like Eternals and Spider-Man Far Away From Home and all that stuff. Man, I got quite a bit of Marvel stuff I need to go through, sit out and plan and stuff like that, though. But that's basically gonna do it for this one, though. So remember, y'all, until I have a video I make next, see y'all.